That blazer in your closet. The one with the name on the lining. The one you bought because it felt like a decision, not just a purchase. Like wearing it said something about who you were and where you were going. Here is what that name actually costs you. Retail markup on women's designer clothing routinely runs from 300 to 800% above production cost. Not because the fabric is better, not because the construction is more precise, because the name, the campaign, the influencer, and the department store window all have to get paid before the garment reaches you. 7 designer women's clothing items charging you for the label. Let's start with the most iconic one. Number 7. The Burberry trench coat, the beige, the plaid lining, the belted waist, and the epaulettes. The coat that has appeared in every film about a woman with somewhere important to be. The coat your mother told you was an investment. Thomas Burberry invented the gabardine trench in 1879. Waterproof, breathable, worn by British officers in the First World War. For a century, the coat was a legitimate claim. Technical fabrication, superior construction, genuine provenance. The kind of origin story that earns a premium and deserves to keep it. That story peaked a long time before the current price tag. A Burberry Heritage trench coat retails at approximately $2,000 in 2026. The gabardine is still there, but the percentage of that retail price that reflects actual fabrication versus marketing overhead is not something Burberry publishes. What they do publish, Burberry spent approximately 260 million British pounds on marketing in fiscal year 2020. 3. That number does not stay on a balance sheet. It moves into the price of every coat, every scarf, every bag on every shelf in every department store where a woman has ever been told this coat is worth it. Then there is the other number. In 2017, Burberry destroyed $48 million worth of unsold merchandise to protect brand exclusivity. Not defective stock, not damaged goods, perfectly wearable clothing burned because allowing it to reach discount channels would have softened perception of scarcity the premium depended on. The product existed. They eliminated it to protect what you were willing to pay for the next one. There is something worth sitting with about that number. $48 million is not a rounding error. It is a strategic allocation. Money spent to ensure that a product that existed, that was real, that was wearable, never reached a woman at a price she could afford. The brand chose the fire over the discount. The fire preserves the perception. The discount undermines it. And the perception, at $2,000 per coat, is worth more to protect than the product is worth to sell. That calculation is in your coat. Every woman who pays $2,000 for a Burberry trench is subsidizing the decision to burn $48 million of clothing to ensure she never found a cheaper version. That is not a manufacturing premium. It is a perception management fee. It is disguised as a price tag. For the woman who saved up for the Burberry trench, because she wanted one coat that would last 20 years and mean something. She was sold a silhouette. The meaning was manufactured before the coat was. Burberry protects its premium by destroying supply. The next brand protects its premium differently. It sells you the idea of Parisian independence, while filing quarterly earnings reports as a publicly traded asset inside a Chinese-owned conglomerate. Number 6. Sandro Paris, the tailored blazers, the delicate knitwear, the quietly French aesthetic that sits between high street and true luxury, and convinces you it belongs to neither. The brand that felt like a discovery before it was in every airport and every lifestyle magazine in the world. Evelyne Chatriet founded Sandro in Paris in 1984. The concept was genuine, accessible Parisian chic, pieces that looked like they cost more than they did, sold at prices that felt aspirational but reachable. For a generation of professional women, Sandro became the answer to the question of how to look expensive without spending like a luxury customer. The sweet spot, the intelligent choice. Here is what the sweet spot is actually built on. SMCP, the parent group that owns Sandro alongside Maje and Claudie Pierlot, is majority owned by Shandong Ruyi, a Chinese textile conglomerate, which acquired a controlling stake in 2016. SMSK went public on the Paris Stock Exchange in 2017. The Paris address is real. The French aesthetic is real. The story of the independent Parisian brand is a publicly traded Chinese-owned conglomerate asset that has been filing quarterly earnings reports for nearly a decade. A Sandro blazer retails between $250 and $400. Community reviews and independent garment analysis consistently note production quality comparable to upper-tier high street, not the craftsmanship the price implies. The Parisian provenance in the brand name is not matched by Parisian production or Parisian ownership. The look is French, the shareholders are not. The SMCP story is worth understanding because it is a template used across this entire industry. A founder builds an authentic brand with a real aesthetic and a genuine customer base. The brand scales. Acquisition interest arrives. The acquiring party, a conglomerate with no direct connection to the brand's identity or geography, buys control. The brand continues under its original name. The aesthetic is preserved because the aesthetic is the asset. The independence disappears because the independence was never the asset. It was the condition under which the aesthetic developed. Every woman who buys Sandro today is buying the aesthetic. She stopped being able to buy the independence in 2016. She just was not told. For the woman who bought Sandro because it felt like a step up, like she was investing in something with heritage and independent craft behind it. She was investing in a quarterly earnings report delivered to shareholders via a Paris Stock Exchange ticker from a company headquartered very far from the 6th arrondissement. Sandro sold the Parisian story to a conglomerate and kept the aesthetic. The next brand never had to sell anything. It was born inside corporate infrastructure and priced as though it arrived by a completely different route. Number 5. Theory suiting, the clean blazer, the well-cut trousers, the minimalist suiting aesthetic that built an entire professional wardrobe category for a generation of women who wanted to look serious without looking corporate. The brand that made effortless tailoring feel like a reliable answer and then kept raising the price of that answer every year. Andrew Rosen co-founded Theory in New York in 1997 with a clear premise: elevated basics, exceptional fit, no excess. The kind of pieces that worked for the office, the dinner, and the flight between them. Theory became the default answer for the professionally ambitious woman who wanted a wardrobe that communicated something without requiring an explanation. Here is who has been running that default since 2003. Fast Retailing, the Japanese group that owns Uniqlo, acquired Theory in 2003. Theory and Uniqlo share the same parent company. They have shared supply chain resources and production infrastructure under Fast Retailing for over 20 years. A Theory blazer retails at $400 to $600. A structurally comparable Uniqlo blazer, same parent company, overlapping supply chain, documented shared sourcing relationships, retails at $80 to $120. Drop a comment right now. Did you know Theory and Uniqlo had the same parent company before watching this? I want to know. I will be reading every single one. The Theory customer is paying for positioning. The Theory label communicates serious professional. The Uniqlo label communicates accessible basics. The corporate structure confirms that one company is making both of those decisions and pricing them at a 5-to-1 ratio. The fabrication does not explain that ratio. The brand narrative does. You are paying for the story. That is not an accident. That is the model. Build the story. Price the story. Sell the story at a multiple of what the garment alone would command. Theory does this at $400 to $600 for a blazer that shares a supply chain with one retailing at $80. The gap between those two numbers is entirely a narrative construction, charged to women who needed an answer to the question of how to look like they belonged in the room. Theory shares a parent company with Uniqlo and charges 5 times the price. The next brand operates without a conglomerate parent but has made a quieter arrangement, charging cashmere premiums without publishing what grade of cashmere is actually inside the garment. Number 4. Vince Cashmere, the soft drape. The muted palette. The knitwear that felt like the most expensive version of casual available, without crossing into full couture territory. The brand that made effortless luxury dressing feel like a personality, not a purchase, and built a customer base of women who had moved past logos into something they called quiet quality. Rhea Laconi and Christopher LaPolice founded Vince in 2002 in Los Angeles. The brand built its identity on luxurious fabrication without fuss, cashmere, silk blends, elevated basics in the tones that worked on everyone. It became the answer to the question of what a woman with taste and money, but no interest in visible branding, was supposed to wear. The anti-lico luxury, the intelligent upgrade. Here is what happened to that answer when the money arrived. Vince went public on the New York Stock Exchange in 2013. The founders sold most of their stake. Since then, the brand has cycled through multiple rounds of private equity involvement, ownership transitions, and cost renegotiations standard to publicly traded fashion brands managing margin pressure. A Vince cashmere sweater retails at $350 to $500. Independent fabric testing published across consumer review platforms consistently rates Vince cashmere grade as comparable to brands retailing at a third of that price. The word cashmere on a label is a fiber disclosure. It is not a grade disclosure. It does not tell you the ply, the micron count, the country of origin, or which mill processed the raw material. Vince charges for the word and the aesthetic surrounding it. The documentation that would justify the premium is not published. The anti-legal luxury sector is as susceptible to the same cost renegotiations as every other sector. The absence of a visible brand mark does not mean the brand math has changed. It means the brand mark is the aesthetic of not having one. And that aesthetic can be maintained while the grade of the cashmere inside the garment quietly moves in the direction that serves the quarterly report. Nobody can see the grade on the outside. That is the point. $350 to $500 for a sweater whose cashmere specification the brand will not disclose. A publicly traded company managing margin pressure on a brand whose entire identity is built on the story of being above all that. Vince charges a premium it cannot document. The next brand goes further. It charges a silk premium, references a French address, and operates under conglomerate ownership it does not advertise anywhere near the label. Number 3. Equipment silk blouses, the relaxed collar. The subtle shine. The blouse that made getting dressed look like you had simply woken up elegant. The brand that turned the silk shirt into a wardrobe signature for a specific kind of woman. The kind who made effortlessness look like a choice rather than an accident. Equipment was founded in New York but built its entire aesthetic identity around a French sensibility. The silk blouse worn untucked, half-buttoned, with the ease of a woman who did not need to try. For years, it occupied the aspirational middle ground between fast fashion silk and genuine luxury. Fabrication. The equipment silk blouse became the professional woman's answer to how to look expensive in a meeting and undone at dinner. With the same garment, that positioning is doing significant heavy lifting over the actual product specification. Here is what the specification actually is. Equipment is owned by Yoox Net-a-Porter Group, part of the Richemont luxury conglomerate, following a series of acquisitions. The silk blouses retail at $250 to $400. Independent research on equipment silk consistently places the mommy weight, the industry standard measure of silk density and quality, in the range of 17 to 19 mom. Direct-to-consumer silk brands built around sourcing transparency offer mommy weights of 22 to 25 at prices starting at $80. Equipment is charging $400 for a specification it does not publish, and that independent testing places below what is available at a fraction of the cost if you know the number to look for. The silk is not the reason for the price. It is the vehicle for the price. The French sensibility, the label, the retail distribution network, those are the reason for the price. The fabric is incidental. Richemont Group ownership. Unpublished silk grade. A French aesthetic doing the work that a fabric specification cannot. The label says Equipment Paris. It does not say Richemont. It does not say Mom Weight 17. That is not an accident. Equipment does not document its silk grade at $400. The next brand documents its values loudly, charges a premium for them, and took investment from the world's largest luxury conglomerate. It's while the sustainability story was still running in full. Number 2. Reformation, the slip dress. The fitted midi. The brand that made sustainability aspirational and made the woman wearing it feel like she was doing something right with her money, as well as looking exceptional. The brand that positioned itself as the structural opposite of everything broken about the fashion industry. Yael Aflalo founded Reformation in Los Angeles in 2009. The premise was well-timed and genuinely differentiated, trend-forward, feminine clothing made with documented sustainable practices, sold at accessible luxury prices. The brand published environmental impact data. It named its fabrics. It gave the ethical fashion customer a place where she did not have to choose between looking the way she wanted to look and spending her money in a way she could defend. Reformation did not just sell clothes. It sold a position. In 2020, Reformation received a Series C investment from LVMH Luxury Ventures. LVM owns Louis Vuitton, Dior, Givenchy, Creed. It is the world's largest luxury conglomerate, and its overall environmental record is not what the Reformation label implies about the values of the people now funding the business. Reformation is not fully acquired. It is not independent. It is partially backed by the largest luxury group in the world, and that group has return expectations, and those expectations shape decisions about pricing, growth, and the trade-offs that sustainability commitments require when margin pressure arrives. A Reformation dress retails at $250 to $350. Since the LVMH investment, prices have risen consistently. Community documentation of fabric quality, specifically the weight and durability of signature viscose and linen pieces, includes repeated reports of thinner fabrication relative to the brand's earlier output. The sustainability data is still published. The LVMH investment is not on the label. For the woman who switched to Reformation specifically because she believed her money was going somewhere better, some of it is. Some of it is going to LVMH Luxury Ventures return expectations on a Series C. Those are not the same destination. The label tells one story. The cap table tells another. If you are new here, this is exactly what we do on this channel. We follow the acquisitions, the investments, and the pricing decisions so you do not have to. Hit subscribe. The designer handbag version of this list is coming, and the numbers are even harder to look at. Reformation took LVMH money while the sustainability story ran. The brand we are ending on is the most honest version of this entire list. It does not pretend to be anything other than what it is. And what it is costs $450 for $65 of cotton. Number 1. The designer logo t-shirt, $65 of cotton. Printed with a name, retailing at $450. Worn by the woman who wants to signal she has arrived without needing to explain to anyone in the room how she got there. The designer logo t-shirt, Gucci, Balenciaga, Saint Laurent, Bottega Veneta, is the most refined distillation of everything this list has been building toward. Every brand we discussed charged you for something it could point to: heritage, sustainability, Parisian aesthetics, effortless luxury, technical fabrication. The designer logo t-shirt dispenses with the pointing entirely. It charges you for the name and only the name, and it does not apologize for that. In a strange way, it is the most honest item on this entire list. A standard jersey cotton t-shirt from Gucci retails at approximately $450 to $550. The cotton is standard. The construction is standard. Independent garment analysis has not identified fabrication, construction, or finish qualities meaningfully above quality mid-market brands at $40 to $60. The interlocking G on the chest is the product. Everything else is the packaging for the product. Kering, the luxury group that owns Gucci, reported revenue of 17.6 billion euros in 2023. Marketing and brand spend is among the highest in the global luxury sector. That $450 t-shirt is a marketing vehicle. The item you receive is cotton. The item you are buying is admission to a membership that exists entirely in perception, maintained at extraordinary cost, communicated in 2 letters on a chest, and priced according to what that membership is worth to the woman purchasing it. There is a version of this conversation where the logo t-shirt is defended honestly, where the brand says, "We are selling membership. We are selling the signal. The cotton is the medium, not the message. Pay for the message if the message has value to you." No brand says this. Every brand says the opposite. Every brand says craftsmanship, heritage, exceptional quality, investment piece. They say this about a t-shirt. They say it because the transaction requires the fiction. If the customer understood she was paying $450 for a symbol, some customers would still buy. But the customers who have convinced themselves they are buying quality would stop. That customer cohort is larger. So the fiction runs. The woman who buys it knowing the transaction is a transaction is making a clear-eyed choice. The confusion happens when the fiction lands. When a $450 t-shirt is positioned as investment dressing, as quality craftsmanship, as something that will outlast and outperform the alternative, and the buyer genuinely believes the price reflects something in the garment. It does not. It reflects something in the symbol. Go check your wardrobe right now. Find the most expensive item you own. Search that brand name and the word acquisition. Find out who owns it and when they bought it. Then find out if the price went up after that date. It works on every item on this list. It works on almost everything in your closet. Hey, thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, let us know in the comments. Want to see which designer handbags are secretly not worth the price? Click on the left. And if you don't want to miss more tips and secrets, hit that subscribe button.